Hey, what's up guys? It's Chris, and today I wanted to talk about how you can get more height in your flips. And now I read the comments and a lot of people have mentioned the height I get in my flips, and so today I wanted to finally talk about it and kind of give you guys some tips on how you can improve your flips. And so I'm going to talk about blocking, I'm going to talk about using your arms and your full body, and then I'm going to talk about maybe some exercises you guys can do to actually gain some strength. So let's get started.
Also, if you're completely new to my channel, feel free to check out my other videos where I've posted a bunch of tutorials and tips and tricks for different flips and skills.
Alright, so the first thing we're going to talk about is blocking, and that refers to the process of turning your forward momentum into upward momentum. And you've probably heard me talk about this before, but it's really important to get more height in your moves. Now this really only applies to certain moves that require momentum steps, such as running or the J step, which is useful for flips like the side flip, the front flip, even corkscrews and cheek gainers, as well as moves like round-offs into back handsprings into certain moves, or even round-offs straight into, say, backflips or Arabians. So let's take a look at it.
Alright, so like I said before, blocking is all about turning your forward momentum into upward momentum. So even if you don't have a high vertical, blocking will still allow you to get a lot of height in your skills. So the key to doing a proper block is all about punching the ground at an angle instead of punching the ground directly below your feet. Now punching the ground at this angle is what's going to actually turn your forward momentum into upward momentum, and it's all because of physics. So check this out. Alright, imagine that we have a ball and it's traveling forward, but we want the ball to go up. What do? Well, we can add a block, and if the ball hits the block at the right angle, the ball will go up instead of going forward. So for our flips, we're kind of punching off of this imaginary ramp. So when we think about doing our flips, it's all about punching the ground at that same angle, which is usually done by putting your feet in front of where your body is traveling. So this can apply to pretty much all flips except for your standing moves.
Alright, so tip number 2 is actually using your arms and your shoulders to help you generate height in your flips. Now this works for a lot of flips, but in particular it's very useful for moves like your standing back flip, standing fulls, and any other standing move where you're using your arms and your legs to really generate most of your height without actually using other momentum. So let's talk about it.
Alright, so the key to this one is really learning to synchronize your arms and your legs to generate the most power for your moves. While this seems like common knowledge, you'll actually see a lot of beginners making this mistake. They'll oftentimes not synchronize their movements or even not use their arms at all for the jump, and they just kind of use them to tuck. So if you want maximum height, you should practically be performing a stretch jump before tucking and rotating for your skills. It's called a stretch jump because you should practically be feeling the stretch throughout your upper torso and shoulders, so make sure you really keep that in mind when performing this exercise. Cool, now let's talk about how much your knees should bend when you jump. While this point may differ from person to person, there is a proper way to bend at the knees. If you bend too little, you shrink your potential, and if you bend too much, you also decrease your height. So optimally, you should bend just enough to feel a stretch in your hamstrings, which are the back muscles in your legs. This way, you can load the muscles and allow them to act like springs. This point is probably somewhere around a 90-degree bend, at least it is for me. So practice finding this point until it feels natural so you can do it in all of your flips. Also, here's another quick tip. Make sure that you are jumping directly up. Don't jump backwards and don't jump forwards. Try to land in the same spot that you took off from.
And the last tip actually refers to gaining strength in your legs and your arms to actually improve the height of your flips. Because even if you apply the other techniques, if you're kind of weak and you don't have the strength to actually perform these moves, it can actually hinder your height and cause you to not rotate completely. So let's take a look at some exercises that can help you get better.
Alright, so you can practice doing your regular stretch jumps and tuck jumps to help you improve overall, but you should also consider training long jumps, squatting down really low, focusing on explosive power and distance. And in between exercises, you can also do high knees and train your calves by jumping with your toes. And you also have your basic squats. Now besides your legs, you should also consider training your core to help you tuck harder and get a much faster rotation. So try these shotgun sit-ups where you balance on your lower back and perform reps like shown. Now, I'm not an expert, so it's difficult for me to tell you how many sets and reps to do for each exercise, but maybe start with somewhere around 3 to 4 sets doing 15 to 20 reps for each of the exercises. Alright, so in summary, we looked at blocking, which is turning our forward momentum into upward momentum by kind of hitting the ground at an angle, placing our feet ahead of our body, and then we also looked at synchronizing our arms and our legs in order to generate the most height for our standing moves, as well as what angles we should probably be bending at the knees. And then finally, we looked at a few exercises to help us gain some strength, that way we can actually perform these exercises with more power. Alright, that's it for the video, so if you enjoyed it, please leave a like below, that helped me out a ton, and if you're completely new to my channel, feel free to subscribe, that way you'll be notified when I upload future content. And that's about it, so remember, stay flippin' awesome, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.